Welcome to the Movie Business Podcast, picking up where Movie Business Book left off. I'm Jason Squire, hosting a wide range of industry talent and executives to answer fundamental questions about the business today. Here we go. And representing talent is our focus with JEWERL Ross, founder of Silent R Management in Los Angeles. After graduating from Yale, he returned to LA for entry-level work at ICM and Paradigm before working as an agent at a boutique firm. 3 years later, Ross transitioned to management. In 2006, he founded Silent R Management, where today his clients include Oscar-winning director Barry Jenkins. This year, JEWERL produced 3 films, the first of which, to be released, is the critically acclaimed Bruiser, acquired by Disney's Onyx collective and Hulu before its Toronto International Film Festival premiere. Welcome, JEWERL.
Hi, thank you, Jason, for having me.
Well, thank you for being gracious enough to join Movie Business Podcast, where we're today going to cover representing talent. So what would you say, based on your experience, are the secrets of representing talent?
That's an excellent question. I don't think there are any secrets. I think the secrets are just to do it. It's so funny. I got a call yesterday from a 23-year-old kid in Miami who's trying to enter the business. And he said he called like 40 people, and I was the only one who answered the phone and gave him 10 minutes of time. And he was trying to figure out how to do it, how to get it done. And in the end, at the end of our 10 minutes, my advice was really just to start at the bottom and figure it out. You don't have to know. There are 1,000 things you don't need to know in order to get started. You just have to decide and get started. So much of when I think about, the secret to doing this work is just to do it. It's just to do it. But that may not be your question. Is there a question underneath that question?
I think it's leading to certain topics like the idea of finding talent, maintaining talent, but backing up, networking is also involved. In fact, what are the secrets of getting into the business, which is no doubt the subject that you were discussing over the phone with the fellow who called you. That also is challenging. And looking back on your own career, the ideas of networking and finding talent, both of those issues involved personality stuff and diplomacy and how you deal with people in general. And to some extent, you can't teach that.
In terms of entering the business, a lot of people enter the entertainment business, be it in representation or other forms of other parts of the business, because they have a passion for film, or they have a passion for television, or they want to be famous, or they want to be an actor or something. And I often caution people that the most important thing when deciding to enter the business and figuring out your place here is really about following your skills, not necessarily about following your dreams. When I was in college trying to decide what I wanted to do, I literally knew nothing about film and television. I literally knew nothing about Hollywood. When I was trying to decide what I wanted to do, I knew for sure that I was good at helping people get stuff done. I knew for sure I was a great executor of ideas. I wasn't necessarily a great idea person. I wasn't necessarily a great entrepreneur in that sense, but I knew if someone had a great idea, I knew how to come up with a plan and execute that plan. And so that skill, I was looking for a job in any industry where I could use that very specific skill. I thought I was going to go into politics. I worked interned for John Kerry when he was in the Senate, while I was in college. I thought I was going to go into politics either like as a political strategist or an advance man or a speechwriter or a campaign manager. And so that idea of being a campaign manager is that skill. And so I just so happened to have a friend who I'm still friends with today, 27 years later, who said, JEWERL, that skill you're talking about, that personality trait you're talking about, there's a word for that. And in Hollywood, they call that agent or manager. You should investigate trying to get that job. And so I started reading a lot of books on Hollywood, and I was very lucky to find a book that gave the day in the life of an agent and the day in the life of an agent's assistant. And the book was, I wish I remembered the name of the book. It's been so many years. And when I read that chapter, I got my heart started racing, because that it was the personification of what I was thinking about, of how to execute ideas and how to use the strength of my personality to get shit done for people. And so, I really don't have a lot of sympathy for people who just have a fascination with movies and have a fascination with television, and therefore they're using that dream to go try to find their place here. I feel like the most important place is to start internally with what comes easy to you, what you're personally good at. I think the reason why I've stuck around for so many years is because my job is so easy for me. It brings me so much pleasure, like daily, regular pleasure.
It's great.
For me, it's not work. If I have to answer a call from an important director at midnight, I'm answering the call because it's pleasurable for me. I'm solving someone's problem, and based on my personality and based on my certain set of issues, that brings me a certain amount of pleasure. I'm developing a script right now with a Finnish director who's a client of mine. He's doing his first English language movie, and I've read 10 drafts of this script and given him notes and 10 drafts of the script. And we're at the final stages of getting the script ready. And I've discovered, every director is different. Every artist is different. You have to figure out what their process is. And I've discovered that he needs me to not only write my notes, but he needs me to give him written suggestions on how this dialogue should be different, written suggestions on how this exposition should be different. And so I was just on a 4-hour Zoom with him, maybe 3-hour Zoom, where I was literally writing portions of the script that he was approving or not approving. Do I consider myself a writer? No. Have I read thousands of scripts, maybe 10,000 scripts in my career? Yes. Was that process with him fun and interesting? Yes. Was I super frustrated before I figured out I was frustrated in the weeks leading up to it because I didn't know what his particular process was. And I figured it out. And once I figured it out, we were able to march forward on the script with at least more ease. And so what's the point I'm trying to make? The point I'm trying to make is the pleasure I get from my job, figuring out an artist and being of powerful use to them. And so it just hasn't gotten old because I have chosen to follow my skills. So I think that's sort of an answer to how to get into the business.
Sure. You really are revealing the components of your style of management. It certainly goes way beyond management. Now, let's turn it around and ask about advice for new talent who is seeking representation.
I've spoken often at conferences with 400 writers in the room, or the Austin Film Festival or other places. And that question is asked so often, getting representation, how to get someone to be passionate about your work. I actually think so many young artists, writers, directors, actors, spend a lot of time trying to solve that problem for themselves. And I think that trying to solve that problem for themselves is a waste of time. I think people are sold a bill of goods. There's an idea out there that once I get an agent, once I get a manager, my career is going to be set. I'm going to really have the career that I'm looking for. And I'm emailed, I don't know if it's 30 times a day or 20 times a day. I get a lot of, because my email address is out there, I get a lot of people reaching out to me every day saying, hey, this is my thing. Will you read it? Hey, this is my thing. Please pay attention to me. Hey, this is my thing. Can you watch it? Of the tens of thousands of those emails I've received, how many of those people have I ever signed? Maybe one, maybe two, maybe three out of thousands of emails. The people that I sign, and this is true for most people, are the people that I'm reaching out to, the people that I'm searching for, the people, and so I tell these young artists that if you stop spending time trying to get people like me to pay attention to you and spend your time making work, then it would be a better use of your time. Because once the work is good and once people are taking note of the work, people like me are going to chase you down. People like me are going to be begging you to represent them. I think Representatives are often just a waste of time. If an agent has 80 clients or more, I have friends who have 120 clients, 140 clients. If you're at the bottom half of that list, they don't get any time or attention from that guy. They're not making outgoing calls for the bottom half of that list. Maybe the bottom 2/3 of that list. So it's not like that agent is being of service to those less important people on that list. He's just representing them because maybe he's gonna get lucky, and maybe luck into some money with them or whatever. And so I just think that if you focus on the work, eventually people like me are going to chase you. And when you're chased, it's so funny. I sign people at all levels. I sign people who make movies or they're critically acclaimed. And I also sign people who have done a short film. I signed these two brothers out of Wesleyan who did one short that I found on fucking TikTok. I think these guys are 22-year-old. No, they're not even 22. They're 20 years old. I think they're little geniuses in the making. No one in town is calling them, but I am, because I saw this thing and I really want to spend the next 5 years walking the road with them as they figure out how to write the screenplay and get the movie made. Even if they made a good short, they spent months chasing people like me. It would be a waste of their fucking time.
That's so interesting because it involves instinct and taste.
Yes.
On your behalf. And that's something, again, you cannot teach, you can't learn, but it's central to the business. Now, can I shift and ask about another part of your business, which is negotiating? Are there some lessons learned in your years of being involved in negotiating?
I think negotiating is the least important thing that I do. There's also a narrative out there that you need people to negotiate deals for you, and if a deal that's good, that's negotiated well, is going to make your career. I think those are mirages. I find that for me, negotiations are very simple. When I have the leverage, I get as much money as I fucking can. When I don't have the leverage, we just try to close the deal. And it's very clear when one has leverage and when one doesn't have leverage. When they want the thing more than you want to give them the thing. And so when I don't have leverage, I do not allow my clients to force me to spend weeks and weeks and weeks trying to negotiate a deal, because I don't have experience where, when you don't have leverage, a deal ever improves more than 20%, maybe 25%. And so I don't think I have some special skills in negotiation. I think I am politically astute. And as a politically astute person, I know when I have leverage. As a person who just pays attention, I know when they want something more than I want to give it to them. And I think, maybe the secret that you're looking for is when you actually have the courage, when you actually have the leverage, having the courage to use it, having the courage to make people uncomfortable, having the courage to ask for what I want, having the courage to piss people off. So maybe that's the secret.
Finally, what's your prognosis for where the business is heading?
No one knows where the business is going. We're in the middle of the writer strike, in the middle of the actor strike, and I talked to a lot of people about it, a lot of people at various levels of the business. No one knows anything. The people at the highest levels of the business don't know anything about what's really going on with the strike, when this is going to end. I think there is a narrative out there that is true, which is the business is changing. And because the business is changing, the companies and the writers want to, the writers want to protect themselves because the business is changing, and the companies want to leave themselves open to whatever these changes could be. I think the strikes in and of themselves, even though they were started in order to prevent the change in many ways, they may help be catalysts for change. The shutting down of the business is such a traumatic, altering thing. I think we are going to be, in essence, helping to accelerate whatever change may come. And I have no idea what those changes are going to look like. I have no idea if it's going to be good for creatives as a whole, good for the company as a whole. possible to know. I think the essential truths of the business will remain the same. We need content. Good content rises to the top. People who can produce it cheaply are winners. People whose talent cuts through the noise will be winners. Those people with talent will need to be guided by people who are passionate and smart and honest. And
Very good. Well, we certainly live in interesting times. Let's thank Jewel Ross for participating in the Movie Business Podcast. Thank you so much, Jewel.
You're welcome. That went by very quickly.